Hello, it's January, it's time to start a new reading vlog and we're kicking things off with my favourite types of book to read. We're going to be reading about dogs in books. I'm currently pinned under one of mine, there's Brennan there, and Sam is to my right, snoring away. So the three books that I'm hoping to read in this reading vlog are The Dog by Kerstin Ekman. This is translated by Linda Schenck and Rochelle Wright. This is a fable about a puppy that goes wandering off into the woods and it's his survival story. And it says, the dog is an intelligent and poignant story about the true nature of trust and friendship. A beautiful fable exploring the unique bond between man and dog. So that sounds rather lovely and it looks very wintry to me. So perfect time of year to be reading that because it's bloody freezing here in the UK at the moment. The next one that I have is Timbuktu by Paul Auster. This I picked up at Cheltenham Literary Festival. It says, meet Mr. Bones, canine sidekick of Willie G. Christmas. Great name. A brilliant, troubled and altogether original poet saint from Brooklyn, New York. Together, Bones and Christmas sally forth to Baltimore on a last great adventure in search of Willie's beloved mentor, B. Swanson, who used to know him as William Gurevich, son of a Polish war refugee. But is she still alive? I think that sounds rather lovely, and what a beautiful pup on the front cover. And last but not least, I have Departures by Julian Barnes. This was kindly sent to me by the people at Jonathan Cape. It's about an elderly couple's love story, I think. It's about end of life and there is a terrier. Jack Russell called Jimmy. It says, it begins at the end of life but doesn't end there. Ultimately, it's about the only things that ever really mattered, how we find happiness in this life, and when it is time to say goodbye. I'm thinking this is going to be one that pulls on the heartstrings. It's sounding along the lines of When the Cranes Fly South, which absolutely broke me. But yeah, we'll see how we get on with this one. This is out at the end of this month in January. So really excited to read all of these. I think they all sound really wonderful. I am recovering from a really nasty bout of something, and so I'm kind of confined to the house a lot at the moment. So I'm not sure how much vlogging as opposed to reading will happen in this. But I'll try and take you out for some dog walks and at least try and conjure up some B-roll for you to intersperse with my musings. But yeah, I'm going to start with the dog. This one, and I'll let you know as and when how I'm getting on. Halfway through The Dog, and it's been a lovely read so far. Lots of lovely nature writing. Our poor pup has been left out in the forest. He ran off and got lost, and so he's fending for himself, which is not an easy read, but there's lots of lovely writing about the nature and what's happening in the world around him and the noises that he's hearing and the animals that he's encountering. It's all quite sweet, really. The writing is very simple and meditative, and sometimes repetitive, but I don't mind that. I'm finding it quite a gentle, kind of therapeutic read. It's just getting to the point where winter is thawing and it's kind of springtime, and that's actually really lovely to read about at this time of year. Having kind of started this book in the dead of winter and it's set in the dead of winter, it kind of like gives you that hope for spring, that the kind of longer days and lighter days are coming, and all of that new growth is coming. Yeah, so it's quite sweet. I'm really enjoying it. I am looking forward to him, I hope, being reunited with his family. I really hope that's how this goes. But yeah, I'm flying through it, so hopefully give you another update soon when I finished it.
Hello, I am about to embark on my first solo dog walk for about 3 weeks. I've had this horrid thing that makes me feel dizzy, and so I haven't really been driving or venturing out alone. I'm giving it a go today. We're going to take it very easy. No falling down, eh doggos? So I am making really quick progress through the dog. It's a very undemanding read. It's almost written like a children's book, in that the language is very simple and the content is very simple. The content is not children's, in that the dog is having to survive and so is enjoying eating voles and rabbits, and you get a bit of detail about that, so that it's not a children's book in that sense. I just mean in terms of the way that it's written, which I'm really enjoying, because my slightly battered brain is really enjoying something really simple and soothing and calming, with lots of time in nature to enjoy. So this has been really super so far. The other thing that I wanted to show you is that all the way through, it's got these, sorry, that's my steering wheel. It's got these like illustrations. They look like line drawings, which just adds something really lovely to the book. They're all very, again, very, very simple, but really, really gorgeous, and add a bit of depth to the story as you're reading. So that's been lovely. I suspect I will finish that today. That's been a really quick read and very lovely. So I will give you a quick update when I'm done. I'm really hoping that it finishes on a high note. That's not a spoiler. A, because it's my hope, not what actually happens, and B, because it says in the blurb that the book is about the unique bond between man and dog, and there hasn't been any contact between man and this dog yet. So I'm really hoping that what that means is that he's reunited with his family. Yeah, so that's where we are. Wish me luck on my walk. I've chosen today, the first day where the weather is pretty grim, as opposed to the lovely clear crisp blue skies that we've had over the last couple of weeks, but it's not raining right now, so we will take that as a win. In totally unrelated content, I thought I would show you my new yellow boots. Aren't they cute? They were a Christmas present, and they are from Merry People. They're super cute. Oops, a little bit of colour. An influencer I will not make. As predicted, I finished the dog. This was lovely. I was really happy with how it ended. So we know from the blurb that the dog and his owner are reunited, because it says that the whole premise of the book is about man's unique bond with dog. But I thought it was done really well. It could have been a kind of lassie moment that was a bit overindulgent and a bit over saccharine, but it didn't do that, and it was still very moving, and it still did what it said it was going to do. It still did kind of demonstrate that lovely bond between owner and dog. But yeah, it wasn't overly indulgent. It wasn't overly sentimental. It was just right, I think. Yeah, super lovely book. That was great. Brennan, have you got any thoughts to add? Nope.
Okay, next up I'm picking up Paul Auster's Timbuktu. Hello, I have made a wee start on Timbuktu. It's very, it's very sweet. So we've met Mr. Bones, who is a very good boy, and his owner Willie Christmas. Willie is very unwell. He's got a nasty cough, which we know from Mr. Bones means that he's not long for this world. And he has two last wishes that he wants to achieve before he goes, and that is to find a home for Mr. Bones and to pass on a collection of his works. So he's a writer. So he's got poems and stories and diary entries and things in a stack of books in a locker in a train station. He wants to get those to his old English teacher, who he used to keep in touch with after school. So that's his dying wish, and at the moment we're getting Willie's backstory. How he came to be Willie Christmas, how he came to be, I think he's homeless at the start of this, so current circumstances, how he came to be where he is, this down and out poet. But we're getting bits from Mr. Bones, the dog's perspective, and it's just delightful, really, really good. It's not sweet in a kind of saccharine way. Willie Christmas's story is quite difficult. He's had difficulties with drugs and alcohol, and he's been in a mental institution. He's obviously not in a good place at the moment. But yeah, it's just done in a very endearing way. So enjoying that so far. I'm finding so many passages that I'm just loving and wanting to, I don't annotate, but wanting to tab and underline and make a note of. They're just lovely. Listen to this. This is Willie talking about his dog, Mr. Bones. Willie had judged him to be wholly and incorruptibly good. It wasn't just that he knew that Mr. Bones had a soul. He knew that soul to be better than other souls, and the more he saw of it, the more refinement and nobility of spirit he found there. Was Mr. Bones an angel trapped in the flesh of a dog? Willie thought so. Oh, just gorgeous.
Brennan, are you an angel in a dog's flesh? Are you?
The dog's avidity for smells seemed boundless, and once he had found an odour that interested him, he would clamp his nose over it with such determination, such whole-hog enthusiasm, that everything else in the world would cease to exist. His nostrils were turned into suction tubes, sniffing up scents in the way a vacuum cleaner inhales bits of broken glass, and there were times, many times in fact, when Willie marvelled that the sidewalk did not crack apart from the force and fury of Mr. Bones' snout work. Normally the most obliging of creatures, the dog would grow stubborn, distracted, seem to forget his master entirely, and if Willie happened to tug on the leash before Mr. Bones was ready to move on, before he had ingested the full savour of the turd or urine puddle under scrutiny, he would plant his legs to resist the yank, and so unbudgeable did he become, so firmly did he anchor himself to the spot, that Willie often wondered if there wasn't a sac hidden somewhere in his paws that could secrete glue on command.
halfway through Timbuktu. If I was to describe this book, I think I would say that it is like Finding Nemo, but literary fiction. That's very much the vibe that I have got. It's quite gritty, but in its soul, there's lots of goodness in it, and it really is about this extraordinary dog, Mr. Bones. It's mostly written from his perspective, and he's in a bit of a pickle at the moment. I don't want to go into the plot really, because that would be a spoiler, and it's kind of irrelevant. But it's his story. It's Mr. Bones' story. Never have I wanted to turn to the back page and read ahead and see what the outcome is going to be more. In fact, I don't usually have that inkling or desire at all, but I do with this book. I haven't, but I really want to know that there's going to be a really good outcome for him. So that's what we're rooting for. I'm sorry that not much is going on in this vlog. I'm still not very well, and so not able to do very much. So I'm not really going out and doing stuff, and when I have managed to do that, it takes it out of me and I've got nothing left in the tank for the rest of the day. So yeah, it's perhaps a bit of a boring vlog from that point of view, but the books are going well, so there's that. I've just finished Timbuktu by Paul Auster, and I think this was a really, really exceptional book. I feel really quite moved by it in the end. It's going to be really difficult to talk about because I don't think I can talk about what happens in the book without spoiling it. But in terms of how it made me feel, I thought it did a really great job of capturing what a privilege it is to be a guardian for a dog, and what a great love there can be between humans and dogs. Yeah, I thought it was really special. It was quite gritty, and most of this book is written from Mr. Bones, the dog's perspective. And he goes through some hardships, and as a dog lover, that's not necessarily easy to read about, but God, it was just so insightful. It also did that really lovely thing of, because obviously you're looking at the world through Mr. Bones' perspective, but he's around humans, and so you're understanding more than he is perhaps of certain situations, and I really like that as a reading experience, as a narrative device. I enjoy that as a reader. There was a bit in here where it was describing that relationship between dog and owner, and capturing how a dog can be like a confidant and not a counsellor in the way that they can talk back to you, but how that relationship and that allyship, that's the word it used, ally, can give real confidence to somebody's life, and I've certainly felt that as a dog owner. I think Paul Auster is a kind of like true dog lover at heart. That came across in spades in this book. I thought this was absolutely brilliant. My next read for this vlog is going to be Departures by Julian Barnes, but I'm feeling like I don't want to pick this up straight away. I need a bit of time to process Timbuktu, I think, before I launch straight into this, which I think is also going to be a very moving read. So I'm likely going to pick something else up for this afternoon and get going with this one tomorrow. should have said before I started that my expectations of Departures by Julian Barnes from a dog perspective are slightly different than the other two. The other two were written essentially from the perspective of the dogs, and so that was the sort of main focus. I'm not expecting that to be the main focus of this book, given what I know about it. But I'm looking forward to meeting, what's the dog called in this? An elderly terrier, no, an elderly Jack Russell called Jimmy. I have just been for an experimental foray out and managed to keep my head. I didn't get dizzy or lightheaded, so that's good progress. I'm hoping that's a sign I am recovering. And I have made a start. I've read the first chapter so far. One thing I will say is that, okay, so the focus of the first section is about memory. I'm hoping it isn't the case, but I find that any book that references Proust heavily is sort of deliberately trying to be pretentious and a bit wanky, which has been happening in here so far. I'm hoping we've got that out of the way. That said, I really liked what was being discussed about memory and our relationship to our brains and how they work. I particularly liked this quote. We imagine that we tell our brains in which direction to point its torpedoes and when to fire them, yet such an assumption of orderliness and control on our part doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. Our brains have far more on us than we have on them. They know all that we know, whereas we know only some of what they know. I thought that was quite poignant and astute. And yeah, there's been a few quotes that I've made a note of like that. So yeah, but we've not really got to story yet. So I'm looking forward to meeting our characters. The next chapter is called The Beginning of the Story, so I'm assuming that's what's coming next. Halfway through Departures, and we still haven't got to the point. I know that obviously good literature isn't about the destination, it's the journey, but I'm finding the whole experience a little like having a conversation with my father-in-law. It's lovely and really interesting, but full of precariously connected tangents. Yeah, so it's an interesting reading experience. But yeah, I mean, what's there is still thought-provoking and enjoyable. But I'm craving the story. I think because we were promised a story of these two characters, and we kind of like almost go back to them, and then it's a bit like, you know, back to Jean and, is it Jean and, I can't remember the male character's name. So Stephen, back to Jean and Stephen. So when I was at college, I did, and then we go on there. Anyway, back to Jean and Stephen. And then you go off. I once had coffee with the great aunt of my second cousin twice removed, and it's a bit like that. Yeah, so not unpleasant, but a little bit frustrating, perhaps. Is that my reading experience? I don't know. I'm kind of amused by it. So yeah, that's my update for Departures so far. I am slowly feeling better day by day, which is such a relief. I'm grateful I can muster some energy to get out for a walk every day. It's a really lovely day today, as you can see. There's some blue sky behind me. But I'm still not doing very much of anything other than this. But that's okay, isn't it? It's all right. It's a very dreary day today. It's pouring with rain outside and I have zero energy. I think I overdid it yesterday. And by overdo it, I mean I hoovered the hall and repotted a plant and went out for a hot chocolate. That's kind of where we're at. So I shall press on with departures. Julian Barnes was on the news last night, interestingly, which was a perfect coinky dink. I didn't have my phone handy to film it. He was talking about this book, obviously, and I found it really helpful. It explained a little bit to me. So the narrator character in this is called Barnes. He is an author. He has won the Booker Prize before. He is kind of later in life and writing his last novel and has blood cancer. All of these things are true of actual Julian Barnes. So I was kind of getting a little bit frustrated in that, like, why is he so inserted in this? If it's fiction, why not just make it a memoir? But yeah, listening to him talk a little bit last night, because obviously the interviewer challenged him on that. It's like, so, you know, this character that you've written, this fictional character has a lot in common with you. What's that about? And he said, yeah, of course, the character is based on me, but the character is able to say, the fictional character is able to say and do things that I never could or would. And I really like that as a concept. It's kind of flipped or reframed this for me and flipped it on its head. And it got me thinking, like, if I or you were to rewrite yourself as a fictional character, what bits would you keep? What bits would you let go of? What parts of you would you embellish or diminish? And yeah, I thought that was a really fun thought experiment as I was getting ready this morning, thinking about the parts of me that I would keep in a fictional version of myself and what I would add or take away. Yeah, so that's reframed this for me now. I'm quite happy to sit with the narrator not talking about the thing that he says his story is about, but with him rather. This is Julian Barnes' last novel, as he confirmed in the interview that I watched last night. So yeah, what a privilege. So I'm seeing it totally differently. I'm not getting annoyed and wanting him to get to the point now. I'm happy to sit with him and explore this version of himself that he has created to put out into the world as his last work. Anyway, so that's where we're at. As I said, it's a rubbish gloomy day, so the plan for the rest of the day is just to sit and absorb all of that. What a privilege that is. Hello, I finished Departures by Julian Barnes. I've had quite a roller coaster of a relationship with this book as I've gone through it. I've really enjoyed it and been really frustrated by it at different parts. So for the most part, it's about the musings of the narrator, who is an author called Julian Barnes, who shares a lot of circumstances and characteristics with the real life author Julian Barnes, during which he recollects a friendship with two people that he met at university, and they were a couple at that time. I'm sorry if you can hear the washing machine in the background. Whose relationship doesn't survive ending university, but then they later reconnect in later life, as they do with Julian himself. And it's them that have a wee terrier called Jimmy, who is a really great personality. We touch on that in the middle, but for the most part, it's about the narrator's reflections and musings on later life. There's a lot of literary commentary that he draws on. It's a lot about memory. That's a really strong reoccurring theme. And ultimately it's about kind of the body failing us through illness and ultimately death. I felt in the end that, okay, at my most cynical, it felt a little bit like Julian Barnes had gathered up his notebooks and collected all of the snippets of ideas that he had wanted to use for books and put them into this, his last novel. On the other end of the spectrum, I think it was somebody writing deliberately their last novel. He actually says this a bit later on. And choosing to do that at a point, and choosing not to write until the bitter end, so as to maintain some agency over death, so that he won't get caught out having been halfway through a piece of work. I really liked that and really respected that. And the topics, as I said, covered in this novel are cohesive in that there are strong themes of memory and what we commit to memory and how that serves us or not later in life, and our relationships to one another, but also to ourselves as our bodies start to fail us through age, and his feeling towards his work as he approaches the end of his life. And I respected all of that, and some of what's captured in here is so, I mean, it's witty, it's poignant, it's moving, it's challenging, it's thought-provoking, it's intellectual. So yeah, as you can tell, I feel like I don't know, I feel really mixed. I'm really struggling to know, like, to give it a rating, like to know how I feel about it. But overwhelmingly, I think I'm really pleased to have read this. I think it would have been better as an essay collection, personally. I think that would have avoided, for me, any frustration of the pretense of this being a novel and fictional. I think I would have preferred this to have been, an essay collection would have worked better for me in that sense. I think what I'm trying to say is there was neither story nor character enough to hang these themes on, and whilst the themes and the exploration of them was really sound and so interesting, I wanted, as a work of fiction, something to kind of like latch onto, and that's what was missing for me. So yeah, there we go, we've finished. But that's it, that's 3 books. We've completed the reading vlog. Do you know, auspiciously, today is the 1-year anniversary of when Brennan broke his leg this time last year, and thus started a slew of complications that followed, and he became very unwell. So it feels amazing to be finishing this vlog here, having got through the vlog with no incidents, touch wood, having read 3 really excellent books, like 3 really excellent books, found a new favourite in Timbuktu, I think. And here we are, we have survived. Thank you so much for sticking with me through what might have ended up being quite a boring vlog, because I've not really been up to much, but I'm really grateful for your time. I hope that you're looking after yourself, and I'll see you again in the next video.